I always knew my sister, Lisa, would try to ruin my wedding. I just didn't think she'd do it in such a big way. My name is Sarah Bennett, and I met the love of my life, Ryan, while he was working as a waiter at a small Italian restaurant in New York. At least, that's what everyone thought. The real story was much more interesting, but I'll get to that soon. He's a waiter? Lisa scoffed when I told my family about him. Seriously, Sarah, with your education and background, you could do so much better. That was Lisa, always judging people by how much money they had. She had married a rich businessman right after college and never let anyone forget it. The fact that I, her younger sister who had graduated from Yale, was settling for a guy who served food was, in her eyes, a disaster. What she didn't know was that Ryan had a very good reason for working at that restaurant. He was actually the secret heir to the Romano restaurant empire. He wanted to learn everything about the business from the bottom up, washing dishes, waiting tables, everything, but we had agreed not to tell anyone until after the wedding. Let them think what they want, Ryan had said with a grin. It makes things more fun. The morning of our wedding was beautiful. The small church we picked was perfect, simple and elegant, nothing like the huge, fancy wedding Lisa had 3 years ago. I was in the bridal room, with my mom adjusting my veil, when Lisa barged in. "You can't go through with this," she declared, her expensive dress making her look ready for battle. "Do you even know what people are saying? They think you've lost your mind." "The only one saying that is you, Lisa," my mom said with a sigh. She was tired of Lisa's drama. "Mom, she's throwing her life away. He probably just wants her money." I couldn't help but laugh. My small teacher's salary was nothing compared to Ryan's hidden fortune, but Lisa took my laughter as an insult. "Fine," she snapped, "go ahead and ruin your life, but don't come crying to me when you're stuck living in some tiny apartment above a restaurant." If only she knew about the penthouse Ryan and I had already picked out, or the private island where we'd be honeymooning, but I stayed quiet. The truth would come out soon enough. The wedding started, and everything was perfect. Ryan stood at the altar, looking handsome in his tailored suit. Lisa probably thought he rented it. Our closest friends and family were there, though fewer on my side since Lisa had convinced some relatives to stay away. Then came the moment no one would ever forget. If anyone has a reason why these two should not be married, speak now or forever hold your peace. Lisa stood up. "This is a mistake," she shouted, her voice echoing in the church. "Sarah, you're ruining your life. You deserve better than this. You're marrying a waiter. For crying out loud, how pathetic is that?" The whole church went silent. Ryan squeezed my hand gently, and I saw a tiny smile on his lips. "Should we tell her?" he whispered. I shook my head. "Not yet." Lisa wasn't done. She marched up the aisle, her designer heels clicking loudly. "Everyone knows this is a joke. Sarah, you were supposed to be the smart one, the successful one, and now look at you, throwing it all away for some server." "Lisa," our dad warned from the front row, but she ignored him. "When this falls apart, don't come to me for sympathy. You made this choice, probably in a really cheap bed, so deal with it." With that, she turned and stormed out, leaving the whole church in stunned silence. The minister cleared his throat. "Shall we continue?" I looked at Ryan, saw the love and amusement in his eyes, and smiled. "Yes," I said, "let's continue." The rest of the wedding was perfect, especially without Lisa there. As we exchanged rings, I thought about what was coming next. Our reception would be at one of Ryan's family's most exclusive restaurants, one that had been secretly closed to the public for the day. Lisa had no idea that her dramatic outburst was about to backfire in the most incredible way, and I couldn't wait to see her face when she realized just how wrong she had been. Lisa had been wrong about everything, but first, we had to take pictures and drive to the reception. Ryan helped me into the rented vintage Rolls-Royce, which was actually from his personal collection, as our guests threw rice in celebration. "Ready for the next part?" he whispered in my ear. I smiled, thinking about what was about to happen. "More than ready. Do you think she'll come?" "Oh, she'll be there," he said confidently. "People like Lisa can't resist a chance to feel superior. She'll come just to laugh at what she thinks will be a cheap, embarrassing reception." He was right. Lisa might have stormed out of the wedding, but there was no way she'd miss an opportunity to judge every detail of our celebration. She had no idea she was walking into a surprise that would leave her speechless. As we drove to the reception, I thought about how perfectly everything had worked out. Lisa's outburst, though hurtful, only made what was coming even sweeter. Sometimes, the best way to deal with someone isn't to fight back, It's to let them set themselves up for their own embarrassment. The Bennett, Ryan's family's famous restaurant, came into view. Its grand entrance and perfect location made it a favorite for celebrities and world leaders. Today, it would be the setting for a revelation that would change everything. "Here we go," Ryan said, helping me out of the car. "Ready to show your sister who she just insulted in front of everyone?" I smoothed my dress and took his arm. "Let's give her a moment she'll never forget." The restaurant doors swung open, and gasps filled the air as our guests stepped inside. Golden chandeliers sparkled over marble floors, and the walls were decorated with hand-painted artwork. Waiters in crisp uniforms carried trays of champagne, each bottle worth more than what most people thought Ryan made in a month. "There must be a mistake," someone whispered. "How could they afford this place?" Lisa arrived late, probably expecting to find us in a small, cheap banquet hall. She stopped in the doorway, her perfectly made-up face twisting in confusion. "This isn't right," she said loudly, walking toward me. "This is the Bennett. They don't host wedding receptions, ever." "They made an exception," Ryan said smoothly, stepping beside me, "for family." Before Lisa could speak, an older man in a perfect suit approached us. Everyone in the restaurant world knew Thomas Bennett, the founder of the Bennett Group. He was a private man, rarely seen in public. "Ryan," he said warmly, hugging my husband, my grandson, finally married to his wonderful Sarah. The room went silent. Lisa's champagne glass slipped from her hand, shattering on the floor. "Grandson?" she whispered. "What do you mean, grandson?" Thomas turned to her, his eyes sharp despite his age. "And you must be the sister who caused such a scene at the church. What was it you called my grandson?" "Ah, yes, just a waiter." Lisa's face turned pale as the truth sank in. Ryan wasn't just a waiter, he was the heir to one of the biggest restaurant empires in the country. The Bennett Group owned hundreds of fine dining restaurants, hotels, and luxury properties around the world. I didn't know," she stammered. "Clearly," Thomas said, raising an eyebrow. "Maybe next time, you'll remember that true class isn't about a person's job but how they treat others." Ryan squeezed my hand as Lisa stood there, completely humiliated. Around us, guests began whispering, realizing the truth. Our simple wedding followed by this unbelievable reception. The waiter who was actually restaurant royalty. "Why didn't you tell me?" Lisa finally demanded. "You let me believe, you let me embarrass myself." "Would it have made a difference?" I asked softly. "Would you have treated Ryan better if you had known?" "Because that's exactly why we didn't tell anyone. We wanted to see who our real friends were." "But I'm your sister." "Yes," I said, "which makes what you did even worse. You couldn't be happy for me just because you didn't think Ryan was good enough." Thomas cleared his throat. "If you'd like to leave, no one will stop you. You've already given us more than enough entertainment today." Lisa's face turned bright red. She looked around the room and saw the judgment in everyone's eyes. The same people who had watched her outburst at the church were now watching her embarrassment. "I should leave," Lisa muttered. "Stay," Ryan said unexpectedly. Everyone turned to look at him. "Stay, enjoy the reception. Think of it as a chance to start fresh, to see people for who they are, not just what they own or what they do for a living." I looked at my husband with pride. Even after Lisa's horrible behavior, he was showing more class than she ever had. Lisa hesitated, then slowly nodded. I'd like that. And I owe you both an apology." "Yes, you do," Thomas agreed, "but maybe that can wait until after the first dance. I believe my grandson and his bride have waited long enough to celebrate properly." As Ryan led me to the dance floor, I saw Lisa's face. She stood alone, watching us spin beneath the chandeliers, probably already planning how many times she'd have to apologize before she could start bragging about her connection to the Bennett family. "She'll never change completely," Ryan whispered, reading my mind as always. "No," I agreed, "but maybe she'll think twice before judging someone based on their job again." The reception felt like a dream, every dish more exquisite than the last, wine from the family's private collection, and stories from Ryan's time working his way up through every restaurant position. He insisted on starting at the bottom, Thomas told our fascinated guests, said he needed to understand every part of the business. "Most kids who inherit wealth want to start in a fancy office, not my grandson." I watched Lisa's face as she realized how wrong she had been. The waiter she'd dismissed had shown more work ethic and humility than her hedge fund husband ever had. As the evening went on, I saw Lisa try to approach us several times, probably to apologize or fix the situation, but there was always someone else eager to talk to us, share a story, or offer congratulations. Her social punishment would last a little longer. After all, she'd spent months making me feel small. A few hours of humility wouldn't hurt her. Besides, we had other things to focus on, like the honeymoon villa waiting for us on the Bennett family's private island. But that was a surprise for another day. For now, I was happy to dance with my husband, surrounded by people who loved us for who we were, not for what we owned. And if my sister learned something along the way, well, that was just the icing on our very extravagant wedding cake. A year passed, and life settled into a new rhythm. Ryan and I moved into our penthouse with a view of Boston Harbor, and I continued teaching while he took on more responsibilities at the Bennett Group. We kept things low-key, just as we always had. But Lisa struggled with our new lifestyle. "You could at least let me throw a proper housewarming," she complained one afternoon, eyeing our minimalist decor. "This place deserves to be shown off." "That's exactly why we don't show it off," I replied. "Some things are better kept private." She didn't understand. She'd spent the last year trying to rebuild her reputation, dropping the Bennett name at every opportunity. Her social media was filled with posts about my sister's amazing restaurants and family dinners at the Bennett. Ryan found it amusing. "At least she's helping the business," he said with a shrug. But everything changed when Lisa's perfect world started to fall apart. Her husband, Michael, got caught in a scandal, insider trading, fraud, and more. Suddenly, the wealth she'd flaunted was gone, frozen by federal investigators. One late night, Lisa showed up at our door, mascara streaking down her face. "They're taking everything," she sobbed. "The house, the cars. Michael's going to jail. I don't know what to do." I led her to the living room, where Ryan was working on his laptop. He looked up, concern on his face. "I need help," Lisa admitted, her pride clearly hurting as she spoke. I don't know how to start over." Ryan and I exchanged looks. This was the moment. Would we help the sister who tried to ruin our wedding and only accepted us after learning about our wealth? "There's an apartment," Ryan said, after a long pause, "above one of our smaller restaurants in Cambridge. It's not much, but it's a start." Lisa's eyes widened. "You'd do that? After everything?" "On one condition," I added. "You work in the restaurant. You'll start from the ground up, just like Ryan did. You'll wait tables." She looked horrified. "And do other things," Ryan said. "Wash dishes, bus tables, learn to cook, understand what it means to earn your way." Lisa stayed silent for a while, probably wrestling with her pride. Finally, she nodded. "Okay, I'll do it, but will you show me how?" That was the moment I knew my sister might actually change. The next few months were transformative. Lisa moved into the small apartment, traded her designer clothes for sensible shoes and work uniforms. She cried the first time she had to clean a bathroom, broke 3 plates her first night serving, and burned herself twice while learning to cook. But she didn't give up. I watched her transform from someone who looked down on service workers to someone who defended them. She started leaving bigger tips at other restaurants, calling out rude customers, and understanding the hard work she once dismissed. 6 months later, I visited her at work. She was expediting orders, her hair tied back, completely focused on her task. No makeup, no pretenses, just honest work. "She's doing well," Ryan said, appearing beside me. "The staff actually likes her now. Think she's learned her lesson?" He smiled. "I think she's learned several. Want to tell her the other news?" I nodded, waiting until her shift ended. Lisa joined us at a corner table, looking tired but more genuine than I'd ever seen her. "How would you feel about managing this place?" Ryan asked casually. Lisa's eyes widened. "What? You've learned every position, earned the respect of the staff. The current manager is moving to our new location in Chicago. The job's yours if you want it." "But, why, after everything?" "Because you proved us wrong," I said softly. "We thought you couldn't change, that you'd always care more about status than substance. But look at you now." Tears filled her eyes. "I was awful to both of you. I let money and status blind me to what really matters. And now?" "Now?" Ryan prompted. "Now I know that what matters is who people are, not what they own or what they do for a living." She wiped her eyes. "I'm proud to be a server now, proud of what I've learned and what I can do." Later that night, as Ryan and I walked home, he squeezed my hand. "Your sister finally found her way." "Our way," I corrected. "The hard way, the honest way. Think she's ready for the family reunion next month, when everyone finds out she's managing one of our restaurants?" I laughed, imagining Lisa, probably wearing her Bennett restaurant uniform at the fancy gathering. I think she's finally ready to be herself, no matter what anyone thinks. And that was the greatest victory of all, not the wedding reveal, not the humbling aftermath, but watching my sister discover who she really was beneath all the designer labels and social climbing. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't about getting even, it's about helping someone grow into a better person. Lisa's transformation from a judgmental socialite to a hardworking restaurant manager showed that people can change, if given the right opportunity and motivation. As for Ryan and me, we continue living simply, working hard, and remembering that true wealth isn't about what you have, it's about who you are and how you treat others. That's a lesson worth more than all the Bennett billions combined.